apologize about that. That's Newcastle. Holy shit, that'll terrify you.
This is named after the shells, the weight of the shells weighing down. It's about 37 kilos. Now, this is what they more or less had in other guns. 1.5 minutes, 3/4. Right, so this one's fired. There's 2 of these, the second one's there. There's no wheels on the back platform, back part of the carriageway there. So you had to take the weight. So the rest of the gun was on the block of tackles. These plates would be highly greased. You had to get it back to the stocks. Now, because we fired, the lean foot tool number 1 come into play, because if you put another couple of silk bag in there on the live ember, don't stand in front. Okay, so you might have had 3 of those. One that you put the embers out, the other 2 with rags on to dry the barrel, with water coming out of that mix, so you had to dry it. Once you've dried it, tool number 2, up to 5.5 kg of gunpowder on, push it in, let it turn, just turn it over, let it drop off, then bring it home to tool number 3. Then you can put the shell in. Use your rammer to push it hard back on the charge bags. You can move the gun forward then, or this one, instead of spike prime, this one had a friction tube, a little, about 6mm copper tube, and smear wax on the bottom, fill that full of gunpowder. And even just there, the nib was long enough that when you push that in, it would pierce the bag. So that was the match. So when you pulled the lanyard, it would spark, burn down, bang. 1.5 minutes, 3/4. A lot of work, not much time. Now these guns had 2 jobs. Protection before that happened. Second job was, if a ship had loaded up and was late at night, the captain says, I'll be down tomorrow to pay me for fees, tolls, taxes and whatever. And then he gets up around 1, 2, 3 o'clock and decides he's going to skip town, do a bomb. They would get word up before the first shot would go over the bow, and if you didn't start to turn around, the second shot would go into the sails or anywhere that you could put it to make you turn around and go and pay your gun. So whether you pull that fire in with anger, or they did fire. Up to many times, they did fire. Now the abrasion window at the front was a lot bigger. This is not even sitting on the front rails because it would be up too high. The eyes were so you use the block and tackle to pull around and get your bearing. This gun can fire about 3.5 to 4K. So when we look out the abrasion window, Stockton Bridge, and that's about the distance. Now, the timber carriageway, shall we say, was all made out of bridge timbers that come out of Morpeth and Hinton. They're over 100 years old. Hunter Valley Training Group made it up, burned out nearly every bit of equipment that they own, trying to do it. The only way in for this gun is there, down that air shaft. Now when they got this here, they thought, oh, we better try it. So they put the decibel meters up on the wall, moved it forward, had it all ready, 1 kilo of gunpowder. Bang. The decibel meters went off the scale. Any car that was around that had an alarm on it went off. We got blamed for breaking many panes of glass. We now fire 400 grams. Now you've got to remember, 1881, 82, they were new earmuffs. It just wasn't for babies, I would say. And you had to open your mouth because there is a percussion that comes back off this gun that hits the belly, which is then going to drive the air up and out. If you've got your mouth closed and try and drive your places that
You wouldn't think.
and go, and then it would swirl back down and you go a little bit. Now, even with 400 grams, you can still feel a slight crushing of it, and if you're standing in the right spot up top, the ground shakes. So, you know, 400 grams is not Now, these guns were pulled out 1898, replaced by the Northern Film next door. They were given to the State Dockyard, Newcastle. Now, State Dockyard, Newcastle players around 1982, 83, somewhere around there. It took about 4 years. And they got a scrap metal mob in to clean up all the scrap, and I think in those days there was only balls. I think. I remember too many others in Newcastle in those days.
So did the water ever reach up this high, this level?
Now, Balkans had these sitting down the back fence for quite a while. And then one day, one of the employees was ordered to load one on to a truck. Get a bit else, this is not right. So we run down this kind of society. We have some guns, barrels lying down at the back fence. You want to come and look at them. When they go to their regular stuff, we use the barrels. So there's a screen to get to that speed before we have the fork. Now these guns were actually on site before the fork was built. They were on first mounts up the top. So again, built 1872. So we here. I would have been here because probably scratchley.
That would be fucking terrifying to look at.
A lot of the guys reckon this is the baby, but I reckon one next door is because everything changed. Alright, so if we go next door.
This is the temporary magazine? Or very smaller.
Fucking bridge in the background there, right? That's about 3.5 to 4K, so that's this one goes down to 1.7.
So that bridge in the background is Stockland Bridge.
These other two, all built were here between 1898 and then pulled out between 1914 and 1918.
Oh, that's cute. That's nice.
They were given back to the army in Sydney. When we went to the army in Sydney with barrel numbers, they found one out of 4. Don't matter, that's all we wanted.
Yeah, that's it.
We got the barrel, we got the breech handle, we got part of the extractors, the rest of the rust of the way, and we got the stand. Now you can see the bolts up the front where this one was bolted down. We now just pull it forward and back as we want to use it. This fires 9 rounds a year. We have 3 open days, 11, 1 and 3, so that's 9 rounds a year. Now,
So you let it off on Anzac, obviously? Or?
No, the only 2 guns we fire on Anzac Day is the time gun and the 6-inch gun up the top. We only fire 2 guns. The simple reason when it comes 4 o'clock, everyone wants to disappear to go and have a beer. Not be there cleaning up the beer or guns. Alright, so Andrew Griffin, who's part of our men's shed, is that owned an engineering firm, and he was part of the men's shed. And as a teenager, Andrew used to come up here on any day that his father came up, and that he could, school holidays, weekends, or whatever. And Andrew fell in love with this gun. Now, when they got it back, he said, set up to restore it. He rang around Australia, around the world, you got this part, that part. When someone said yes, send me some pictures and dimensions. He played pitches up as big as he could to see how it worked, and then he would serve out and build it, mate. Now, your sights, that's your yardage. If you knew the wind, you could allow for it. So, this gun, as I said, everything changed. No external gunpowder, all internal. So it's just like a shell you get today. This gun could fire between 20 to 30 rounds per minute. All depends on how good your number 2 was loaded and your 1 how coordinated they were. You had a gun crew, you wouldn't want any more than 6. Someone to sight it, someone to load it, someone to fire it. You've got to have you have your sergeant barking your orders, and you might have two more bringing shells over, or one bringing shells over and the other one picking up what they call spent brass. But could you imagine a ship doing a run and the next thing within, about 12 seconds you've got 3 or 4 rounds over your bow? You'd soon turn around and go back.
Absolutely. Wouldn't argue with that.
You wouldn't know. So I reckon this is the baby. Now you've got to remember, all these guns, like a rifle, we have to register. And I laugh. Bill, who was the president at the time when they got the 2.6-inch gun up and running, he thought, I better see what I've got to do to register. Anyway, he rings up. All done, because that's where every rifle and gun in New South Wales was registered. I've got 2 guns still. I want to register. What have I got to do? And the lady said, there's a form on the net that you've got to fill out. You've got to have a gun saying this, that, and the other. She kept rattling on. Bill said, he said, hold it. He said, gun safe. He said, 2 guns on and registering weigh about 15 tonne. We're talking about 2 different things.
That's it.
She was calling a rifle.
Yeah.
But even with the small arms, if the police get a pistol or rifle that's oldish, if we say yes, we've got to go through the process of registering, then they come up with the checks. We get a check from anyone, which you can understand.
Yeah. Something tourist going through too.
Yeah. Last week we had work cover and fire.
Okay.
Because no one knew anything about, like if there was a fire down there, what that gun was.
Yeah.
It's not a great amount, but it's there.
Yeah.
All right, when we go past the guards room, these streams are on both sides, and at the end of the corridor, there's one that we've got to step over. This corridor has been designed because of the casemates there, and magazine. There was a door there, that was your speaker tube back to the guard room.
It's like getting the door already.
Yeah, that was one thing I noticed.
Wow.
There used to be a door there, but I don't know when it was put on and why. Now, as I said, your casemates there, magazines here. 2 simple things. If there was an explosion in the casemate, you're trying to protect your magazines. If there was an explosion down here, you're trying to protect your casemates. The door wouldn't stop it, but it slows it. The dog leg, every time it turns, it loses velocity. Round the corners, that makes it bounce. Point a corner, hit on the point, and that's the direction it wants to go.
So this roof wasn't here?
Yeah.
It was?
Yeah, it's all domed.
So you're pretty much doomed down here if there was a fire or anything like that?
Oh, not necessarily doomed, but yeah, makes it hard.
Yeah.
All that technology is still used today. If they make a trench, they don't make it straight. Because otherwise a shell in the end and it just goes straight up the corridor.
Yeah.
All right, this corridor is wholly insulated for lamps. That one was to keep your outside wall and the magazine walls separate because if you use the outside
Fucking terrifying.
wall and you've got a split in it, you'll then allow moisture or water into your magazine room.
Yeah.
That's fucking terrifying just walking in there.
Stop swearing.
That's where I usually send stuff.
Danny.
I would too.
Oh, shit. Well, you know, I'm not going down there because my fat ass don't fit.
That's small door service that right because this is magazine, this was your entries, and this is where you change the plugs and then you have.
Yeah, cute.
That small door service that one. And the last small door service that one. Again, there's your door entry. It says on the door, capacity of magazine 700 full charge. Just imagine if that was 700 times 25. Like a gunpowder.
So would actually people be coming up and down here?
Oh, they could.
They could? Okay. Because I know they had to have been super small because I'm big and I can't see shite. I can't fit through there.
I sent the switch up there. I mean the cobwebs.
Yeah, go down there, clean the cobwebs for me.
And I tell you how good this magazine was during the 60s. The 72 was the officers' wine cellar. All right, we're going down here. Yeah. This room's on both sides and the floor's a bit rough when we get down the end.
Floor's a bit rough.
Floor's a bit rough.
Shit.
So if this is the last video I ever say because I'm dead, I love you all.
Yeah, trees don't even annoy me.
Where are we?
Oh, we're at the bottom of the shaft. We were upstairs when I started recording.
Okay.
This is the...
You are now approximately 8 metres under.
Wait.
Really?
Jump!
There, that speaker tube.
Whee!
See the hole just there? That's where that should come out. That big bit. There's that much junk in there. You couldn't get the main bird.
Hang on, hang on.
Camera in there.
Jump!
You're lucky it's cooler down here.
All right.
Can't see nothing better. Ooh.
1797, Lieutenant John Shortland was ordered to chase some escapees from the Hawkesbury River. They jumped in a boat and took off. He went up as far as Port Stephens, Nelson's Bay, couldn't find them. Come back to Newcastle, spent the night. When he got up the next day, looked beyond the sand, he found coal. Took samples back to Sydney and they liked what they saw. Of course they did because even today it is still classified as the best coal in the world.
Yeah.
1799 they exported between 50 and 100 tonne of coal out of Newcastle. Went to Bengal. Now why I say the two amounts, our records show 100 tonne, and anyone that watches Fox, there's a little Scotsman, I think this year's show was coast of New Zealand, last year's was the coast of Australia, and he come here and he said 50 tonne, doesn't matter, went to Bengal, India. 1804 they put 2 coal mines under this hill. There is still coal there today. We did put a camera in there, drill a hole and put a camera in there. But how do you keep the public safe when you've got, say, a pillar there, headboom going across to a pillar? Next one might be 4, 6 metres away. There's no mesh on the walls, on the roof. So there's no way to keep the public safe. And as soon as you alter it, Heritage says that's not heritage listed.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
Plug the hole, put it into a hot box. Alright, brings us to Nobby's. Nobby's where the lighthouse is, was an island. Now they talked about nearly 2/3 off the top. 1 to get rock to build the breakwall, and 2 to allow wind over the top of it, because a lot of the captains complained when they got behind the island they were in the lull. Now the breakwall was started before 1823 by the convicts and finished by others. Second World War. Newcastle had 3 searchlights. 7th of June 1942, they took the brightest searchlight mechanism out, put a weaker one in to do maintenance on the bright mechanism. 2:17 a.m. on the 8th of June, the I-21 Japanese submarine shelled Newcastle, 34 rounds. 8 Star, 26 others. Now the Star shell just lit up the sky and the ground. Now of the 26, we believe only 3 went off. One in the breakwall, one down near the ocean bars, and one over the top of the fort that landed down near the corner of Scott Street in Parnell Place. Now Mrs Wilson had a house down there about 3 or 4 back from the corner, and she had kids sleeping on the veranda, and the veranda was up 1 story. And when the banging started, she grabbed the kids and took them inside. When they went back out, there was glass and shrapnel on the bed, so lucky.
Wow.
Now the I-21 was 103 metres in length. It was part of the 5 that went to Sydney before Newcastle. 2, the I-21 and 1 other had what they call a Glen plane on it, reconnaissance plane. They had a hanger on the front. They would pull it out, put the wings on it, put the floats. It would take off on the deck, land on the ocean, pick it up, strip it in the hangar, seal the hangar, dive. Well, both the planes, one flew a day, one flew a night, both flipped upon landing on the ocean because of rough seas. Now they just sunk the planes, got the pilots out and sunk the planes. Now whether it was because they couldn't pick them up upside down, if they could have picked them up and got them back on board, whether they had the capacity after stripping them to be able to turn them over, whether it was the time factor that they were sitting up on top of their water, or all of it, who knows. But anyway, they just sunk the planes. Got the crew out and sunk the planes. Now as far as Sydney goes, the other 3 had midget subs, which are not real midget. They're 85 feet, which is about 23, 24 metres. 2 out of 3 got into the Sydney Harbour. Their target was the Chicago. Missed it, hit a Manning-style ferry that had been decked out with berths, cuttable, and killed 21 1990s and either 2 Kiwis or 2 Brits. Doesn't matter, it was 21 lives wasted. Now one person reported the plane and got told he either needed glasses, or if he had glasses he'd better go and get his eyes retested. It would have been an American or an Australian plane. The Japanese wouldn't have a plane this far south. A lot of people saw it but never reported it. Only one reported it. Now probably with the Glen planes being sunk, probably saved a lot of Newcastle. The reason I reckon that a lot of shells never went off because they just went into water or mud flats. We believe the target was the State Dockyard and BHP. Now the State Dockyard was at Walsh Island over near Fern Bay, and then in the early 41 they moved it to the dock at Carrington, and that's where it was until it closed. You've got to remember the Japanese were allies World War I, enemy World War II, so they knew our ports inside out and out, shall we say. They didn't know about the change of the State Dockyard because it happened in wartime. So we were probably lucky. Now the shell that's in the museum landed in BHP. Now why it didn't go off when landing in BHP is beyond me. They say it had to hit something hard. You would have thought the BHP would have been hard enough to hit. The Star shell, the gentleman beat the Navy to pick it up. Instead of handing it in, he took it home and put it in his garage. When he died, the grandkids would clean out the garage, found the Star shell and gave it to us. So we're lucky. If he'd have handed it in, we wouldn't have had it.
True Aussie.
Now, a lot of people ask why Fort Wallace didn't fire on the I-21. Fort Wallace had 9-inch guns, we had 6-inch. We were up higher, they're down lower. Stockton. 9-inch guns can fire, let's say, horizon, about 24 K. And we fire about halfway. So their guns wouldn't go down low enough. The I-21 was about 7k off our shore, but it was about 5 off Stockton's in a direct line off theirs. Now, when Captain Moll Watson, he was the commander, when he heard the banging, he jumped up out of bed, grabbed his good old hat, slippers, overcoat, off he went, jammers and all. When he got up to the AP, they said, "We can't see it." He said, "Hone in on the flash of the gun." So that's what they did. Now the 2 guns at the top are the only land-based guns in Australia that have return fire on an enemy vessel. The word is return fire. They fired 2 rounds each. Now before they could fire the 3rd, there was a ship out at sea called the Berube. Its job was to make sure any vessel that was out there was there for a purpose, not an enemy vessel in disguise coming in to do damage. As soon as the banging started, it said, "Let's get out of here." Coal-fired powered ship, put up that much black smoke, the I-21 just died and away it went. But those 5 submarines played a merry fiddle, shall we say, up and down the coast of Australia, from Victoria to Brisbane. They sunk about 21 or 23 ships, and they damaged a lot more than that in 12 months. The Americans eventually depth charged the I-21 and sunk it. But fancy having a ship that's 103 metres in length, bigger than a football field. Like even 23, 24 for a midget, full of batteries and torpedoes, that's all it was. Suicide missions. Yeah, crazy. Now, as far as the First World War, there was a German merchant vessel in Melbourne, and just set sail out the heads. And when the word comes through that Australia was at war through the Commonwealth with Germany, so what they do, they lobbed a shell at it. Didn't hit it, but lobbed a shell at it. We believe that was the first shell fired in World War I.
Okay. Oh, hello, we're here.
Yeah, don't come back.
That's it. Very interesting.
It
so
is.
when do you shoot your gun? This one coming up?
Time gun, we fire in 20 minutes time.
And where from?
It's 12:40.
The best place to sit is to go up the stairs when we go out. That's the stairs near the artillery ship. And just follow the handrail right down into the bottom corner near the Hunter River, there, towards the Hunter River. And that way you're looking over the top of it.
Okay. Now, do you know where that is?
No.
No.
Yeah. In here was a lamp repair room, that's Henry.
Henry?
That's Henry.
Yeah, I figured that.
That's Josh.
Henry, we reckon's trying to get his pips, he just hasn't got the mow long enough to wax. And I got told, just after Christmas, he's gay.
Don't look at that.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely gay.
Look at the face on him, it's a girl's face, he's gay.
Oh yeah.
There's 2 rooms, I've got to do some research, but there's 2 rooms we think have been covered over
Yeah?
from the original, they're on the original plans, but
I haven't found them yet.
we haven't found them.
Wow.
You know where the guard room is there? Between there and the end of that corridor, there was 2 magazine rooms on the left-hand side.
Wow. That would be pretty exciting, wouldn't it?
Well, that was the tunnels of Fort Scratchley.
And if they, still can be salvaged.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Very entertaining.
As soon as that gunfire, the best place to go up there, just follow the handrail.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
The fact of a Newcastle history of Fort Scratchley.
I've got it because I finished one, so I'll just bring it